Dumpster diver Carol Cole has a terrific show of sculptures at Philadelphia's Cerulean Arts.
Hi, my name is Carol Cole, and I'm showing my work in this solo show at Cerulean. It's my first show here. I'm real excited.
I've been making green art since before there was a name for it. I see beauty where others see trash. I'm a beachcomber, not only at the shore, but on city streets. I walk with my eyes down and find treasures everywhere. I shop for art materials in junkyards. I'm a gatherer, not a hunter. I don't know what I'm looking for until I see it. I don't know what I'm making until it's finished. My sculptures want to be touched as well as seen. My favorite color is rust.
This is called Triskelion, and the weird thing is that a couple times I had seen that shape. It's a classic shape, and then recently the New York Times had a picture of something that shape from a museum show. And then while I was doing this shape, my friend, another dumpster diver, found these rusty washers at a flea market and said, "You'll want these, Carol." And they came right at the right time.
I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, a valley surrounded by jagged mountains, seeing muted colors and strong textures. As a child, I wandered in the desert near my house, picking up things that caught my eye for my collections. The only museum I went to had a vast collection of Southwest Indian art, pottery, rugs, jewelry, and sand paintings. I'm increasingly aware of how these early visual experiences have influenced my work. I'm inspired by so-called primitive art, sophisticated archetypal forms and patterns by the anonymous artists of ancient Africa, Oceania, and pre-Columbian America, which speak an intuitive universal language.
This piece is called Stop and Go. A sculptor friend of mine was clearing out a studio, and he said, "I think I have some stuff that you like." Sanding discs, which were green. And I like multiples. Dumpster divers, we have a saying called, "Give me 100 of anything, and I'll make something from it." Painted some red, and then it seemed like, oh, stop and go, and I arranged them, and then I had a box of golf pencils, and I played with that. And then I had to decorate the things, and so those are gold custom jewelry beads, and the black is Go markers that someone gave me from the game of Go that I love. I'm running out of them. I have to find out where you get them.
Until I was in my 20s, I was unaware that I was an artist, because I was uninterested in drawing and painting and didn't know that the things I was wanting to make were art. At Stanford University, I majored in history and took some art history courses, and then realized that I really loved art. But being a smart, practical girl, I followed my plan and became a high school history teacher. A few years later, I met and married my husband Elliot and quit my teaching job to follow him to graduate school in Eugene, Oregon. I couldn't get a teaching job or any other job there, and so I took a ceramics class and had the time to learn how to throw pots. Then we moved to Syracuse, where Elliot got his PhD. After several years, my hobby became my profession, and I became a full-time functional potter. Elliot got a teaching job at Drexel, and we came to Philadelphia in 1981.
This piece is a good example of my just finding things and being object-inspired. On my way to my yoga class, I saw somebody throwing out a bunch of styrofoam packing stuff. So on the way back, I couldn't help but stop and pick it out of their trash and take it. So I had these shapes already. I didn't change them. And then I'm fooling around with them. What shall I put with them? And I unearthed a roll of this copper stuff that's, I don't know what it is, from computers that I got at a scrap yard once. And then I had these little memory chips that my husband, who does computers, had given me. And that's the whole point of my work, is I don't care what the items are used for normally. I just look at them as beautiful objects, and then I want to use them. I know that something to do with memory, so I've entitled this Memory. My titles are really important to me, although I almost never have them before I finish a work. It just comes to me in the end.
You're Elliot
Rick, the computer scientist, correct?
Yes, I am.
Do you help with the dumpster diving?
I do, and from time to time I contribute computer parts.
You have a bit of a Boston accent.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
These are going to be blanks that chips will go on to.
Okay.
These are memory chips.
Looking for a studio situation similar to the one I had in Syracuse, I was lucky to be one of the first artists in the 915 Spring Garden Studios building. Before that, I'd always hung out with craftspeople. But now I was exposed to all kinds of artists. I guess that influenced me because I began wanting to do some experimental, non-functional things with clay and found it very frustrating. Someone suggested I take a class at UArts called Handmade Paper as an Artistic Medium. I don't know why I actually did it, but it was life-changing. I love the freedom and flexibility of this new medium. I could use paper pulp instead of clay and started exploring the possibilities, and could finally incorporate those found objects I've been collecting.
This piece is typical in terms of the way I work. One of my dumpster diver friends gave me these wooden things. She got them out of a textile factory that was closed down. I looked them up. It turns out they're actually flying shuttles. They're pristine. They're just gorgeous things. I played with them and then figured out I wanted this fan shape, and then somehow it looked to me like a rainbow sunrise. And I bought ribbon in rainbow colors. I mounted them on the same armature I always use with handfuls of handmade pulp over it to do the texture. And then I thought I need something in between these spaces. What could it be? And I'm thinking about it. I had these silver buttons in my studio stash, so I had that. Still needed something. And I was at a flea market, and there, just when I needed it, appeared these rainbow hair clips, the exact number and color that I needed. That happens to me. Just when I need something, it appears.
I joined in the founding of the Philadelphia Guild of Papermakers, and there met a wonderful artist, Judy Ingram.
Here's Carol in my 2012 film, Judith Ingram, All the Way In.
Hi, I'm Carol Cole. I'm a sculptor. I work with paper pulp, and Judy Ingram, making sculptures like this is very important to me. She shared her information generously, and it changed my life. The necklace I'm wearing belonged to Judy Ingram, who was my mentor and taught me basically the secret that I needed.
Most people make molds and cast paper pulp for sculpture. I wanted a more direct process. Judy showed me how to create an armature and encase it with pulp. This meant I was free to create something that was any size or shape.
So this is the usual technique that I use, which is an armature of dense polystyrene foam, insulation foam from Home Depot, pink. And then I cover it with handmade paper pulp. This textured part is just handfuls of the pulp used like clay. And then the smoother part, like strips of wood, and then cover them with freshly made sheets of handmade paper. And it sort of shrink wraps so you can see everything underneath. And then I bead. This piece is called Come Together. Usually I am inspired by found objects that I play around with, and then the design comes. In this case, it's part of this show I did called Words Matter in early 2017, focusing on words that were in the news constantly. Come Together is a melding of Christian, Jewish, and Islamic symbols. It just came to me. I also ended up making mugs and stationery with this design on it, and giving the proceeds to the ACLU.
I think the hardest thing for an artist to do is to find their own voice, and then to have the courage to stick with it, even though it seems crazy sometimes.
Carol, a lot of your work is very symmetrical. In terms of composition, is that important to you?
Very important. I tried once not doing something symmetrical after it was pointed out to me by no less than Mo Brooker that all my work was symmetrical. So I did it. It was fine, but I thought, now I own it. Yes, all my work is symmetrical.
All righty.
In a way, I'm glad that I've had no formal art training. I don't hear those critics in my head that many artists have to learn to ignore.
Okay, so these three pieces are my attempt to try something different. I moved into this new studio at Herman Street in Germantown, had been evicted with everyone else from the 915 Spring Garden building. I had always had this idea of using canvases and making sort of a tactile painting where I would put things on a canvas. And so I played around with that, and I had all these colorful painted canvases that I made, and then I attached all these found objects on them. And then I realized I don't like colorful canvases. So I went back, put handmade paper over everything, emphasized the textures, painted it like a patina green, added a few little gold things, which are some kind of a computer something someone gave me. I don't know what they are. Now I'm happy with them.
So I went on making these weird sculptures and didn't know anyone else who was obsessed with found objects. This was before the internet, and I had heard there was a group of artists in Philadelphia called the Dumpster Divers, but I couldn't find them until I had a random conversation with Randy Dalton, who invited me to join. I found my tribe.
Freedom to choose.
By the way, are those real eggs?
They are real wooden eggs I bought at IKEA before Easter.
Okay.
I painted them.
I think I've made about 1,000 videos, but you're the first Harvard graduate that I'm getting to. Is that true? Did you go to Harvard?
I got a master's in high school social studies teaching at Harvard.
Okay.
So I said to you said, why are you so good at this speaking? A lot of artists aren't. And I said, well, I may be an untrained artist, but I'm a trained teacher.
All right. Well, that makes my job a lot easier. Carol's terrific show will be up through March 10th, 2019.
I want viewers to see the beauty in my work and become aware of the inherent beauty in everyday things.